Oh, what's going on everybody? Jay here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a street POV and it's been a while, but I'm bringing back the Yashica TLR. I'm going to do some film photography today. I know it's been like, a minute since I've done it, but it's a bright and sunny day in Sydney, CBD. We're going to pull out the film that I bought a while back but never got to use until today. We're shooting with Tri-X 400. So let's see what we can get. How will it be? It's so weird trying to focus with this. No one's coming. Oh, there we go. Alright, so haven't used this TLR in a while, and yeah, I can safely say that I'm still not used to shooting in this reverse, flipped format. As anyone who's shoot square format on a TLR knows, it's a very difficult and very weird sensation having everything reversed on you. But hopefully as time goes by I'll get better at it. But yeah, now I want to try and just shoot many different subjects, whatever catches my eye. Since we're shooting in black and white, I want to try and get some more contrast in the shots, but because it's not digital, I can't see what's coming out. So I'm just fingers crossed that everything comes out okay. So yeah, let's keep going. Your cap. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
You have a good day.
You too. See ya. Can I get I can't get the entire shot in there. So what I want to do is I want to get the center point tower in the shot too. But I don't know if this 50mm lens can fit everything inside. I'm going to have to get down low for this one. Come on. Okay, this way, that way. Okay, I'm really bad at this. Okay, got it. Focus. Alright, and boom. So we've asked the taxi driver for a portrait. Now it went better than I expected, but ideally I still want to shoot candid portraits with this film TLR. And the challenging thing is it's still disorienting, reverse way of shooting in this camera. So I'm gonna try my best, but no promises there. The hardest part of trying to shoot like this is to find a very interesting subject matter to shoot. I mean, I can just go up to anyone and just try and take a photo of them, but I want to try and make it a little bit more special than that, just to up the challenge level. Doing a little bit of zone focusing with the TLR works the same way as other film cameras. You kind of set your aperture to whatever, and then on the side here you have a measurement scale here. Set it to 1.5 meters for me, and then that means I have a good range to work with. And fingers crossed, we can make it happen. All right, so this is a fairly busy intersection. The best way to do it is just to let people walk towards me rather than me walk towards them. Hopefully there's someone interesting that walks through the frame. All right, let's just loiter around for a while. Apparently, we've walked all the way down to Chinatown. Originally, I said I wanted to loiter around a intersection, but that didn't work out really well. So the best way to up your chances is to walk to another location and see what we get here. Here's Chinatown. Gotta wait for that train to leave. Okay, so let's put aside the weather conditions for today. It wasn't the greatest weather condition of all time. Lighting kept changing, so I had to keep waiting for the right light to come. At some point I kind of gave up. But yeah, lighting aside, I think I got a few good shots. I won't know until we develop them. But yeah, I still really need to get used to this TLR and how weird the sensation is. It's probably going to take me another good 10 to 50 times to get it right, but I feel like it's more rewarding getting shots on film than getting shots on a digital camera, obviously. But yeah, enough rambling. I'll see you guys
back at home. This is Jay from the present coming to you live. But before we begin, I just want to apologize. You didn't get to see any of the GoPro footage because, silly me, on the day I forgot to change the settings back on the GoPro, so everything ended up being a little bit overexposed. Actually no, a bit too overexposed, not so much that I couldn't even bring it back in post. So sorry about that, user error. Better luck next time. And also, this is the first time that I actually digitized the film myself. I decided to digitize it myself using a DSLR and a DIY shoebox rig, which I won't really go over in this video. But if you're keen or interested in seeing what it is, I might make another video in the future talking about it. It's nothing special. And also, you know, I think I failed a little bit scanning these images, but they're good enough. I think they're good enough. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go over each photo, and I'm just going to go over whether I like it or not, what my thought process was when I was taking these photos, and yeah, stuff like that. So the first image here is I actually messed up this image because I never intended it to be a double exposure. It's not even a very good double exposure. The first image that I had I really liked. It was a lady sitting at a bus stop, and I was shooting her from behind through the glass wall, and I really liked that image. It was nice, it was minimal. However, when I tried to wind the crank to advance the film, it wouldn't wind, and I freaked out for a good 5 minutes wondering what went wrong, and it turned out it was a double exposure. I think I might have pressed a button or something to trigger it. Yeah, it was my fault, but I was so glad that it wasn't the camera's, you know, just I thought the camera broke at the time and had a small heart attack, but thankfully it kept working. So that's just a reminder of that issue. So this image, I didn't really intend on taking photos of the ladies in the foreground. They just happened to be there. I actually liked the composition going on behind them, the architecture with the straight lines, the brick wall, and how the light was hitting the wall, and also how the tree, the shadow was hitting the wall on the left hand side. I wanted something to just kind of sit in the middle of the frame, and I was waiting for a guy to come in, and fortunately he did, and so I took the shot. I would have liked his legs to be a little bit more in the middle of the walking pose rather than that kind of mid-step. But hey, what can you do? He still was positioned in the right spot. The contrast between him and the white, the brightness of the wall, and also the shadow on the left hand side and a little bit of the shadow on the right hand side kind of separates him from the rest of the scene and gives him a nice clean silhouette. So that's all I can say about this photo. Okay, I really like this image. I really do, even though it is actually technically not that great because it was a little bit underexposed. I think for the whole entire shoot that day, I was not using a light meter at all. I was not relying on any kind of light meters. I was just trying to use the Sunny 16 rule to expose. So, and I'm actually very surprised at how much detail Tri-X managed to save in this image. I saw the light hitting the floor and the wall of this building, you know, through the glass panel, and it was just super duper bright. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna expose for that. But I forgot that film, you know, you gotta expose for the shadows, not the highlights. So in my mind, when I was looking at this scene, I was thinking when I shoot with the X100V, it's like a very high contrast black and white shot. So I was like, yeah, I'll expose for the highlights, f16, high shutter speed, blah. But I'm surprised it turned out that well. I really liked the fact that the lady was positioned right underneath the light like that, so you get to see her figure but not make out much of her, the rest of her body. I would have liked her hand to be a little bit more under the light so you can see the gesture of her hand, but I just missed it. But overall, despite the fact that, you know, the lens on the Yashica has a lot of flaring and haze, and you'll see that throughout the majority of the images in this roll, I really like this image. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite shot on the roll. Technically, it's a staged photo, obviously. I asked for permission in this one, but in general, I just like the interaction that I had with this taxi driver. He's a really chill dude. And I just asked him for a photo and he was like, yeah, sure. And I took my time, acquired focus, made sure that my aperture was correct and my shutter speed was right. And I took the photo, and yeah, the results kind of speak for itself. So nothing else to say rather than it's just a nice portrait. This one, if you saw from the video, I took my sweet time. I was trying to experiment with different angles. This is the one I ended up going with. It was really hard for me to frame this correctly because of all the reversing and stuff, and the fact that I had to tilt the TLR upwards kind of added just one more direction that I had to work with, and so it was all over the place. I was so disorientated, but I managed to get this shot. I was looking more for shadows and light, how the light was bouncing off the walls on either side from the glass panel, and how the lines of the roof were just kind of trailing off into a nice curve, and how the center point tower was kind of in the background. It all made for a really nice composition and aesthetic appeal. So that's what I really like about this photo. Now this image I really liked. I was using the zone focus rule again. I got lucky, might have underexposed it a little bit. I was shooting at f8, I remember correctly, either f5.6 or f8, I can't remember. I think it was 5.6 because of how blurry the background is. But anyway, I was walking towards the couple and I kind of stopped in my tracks and waited for them to come towards me because I didn't want to risk ruining the shot at f5.6. So yeah, she walked into the frame. I snapped the photo, and I think the guy caught me straight afterwards and gave me kind of a look, and I was just kind of moving on my merry way after that. But yeah, great photo. I think she's in focus. I like the grain in this photo as well. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. This image I was trying to zone focus with the TLR. This is the first of, I think, a few in the set that I tried to experiment, and this one I failed because one of the things that I realized when shooting with the TLR is there are two ways to focus. The first way is looking at the prism and just, you know, thinking in reverse all the time. And the other method is to look at the subject while holding the TLR in a position and just not moving the TLR, but moving your body, but keeping the TLR fixed at a certain position on your body. Never do both of them at the same time. In this photo, I tried to do I tried to focus on her in reverse to acquire focus, but by the time she approached me, I looked up and I kind of panicked because she was coming too close to the 1.5 meters, and I didn't have time to acquire critical focus. I didn't even have time to compose properly, so I freaked out, pressed the shutter, and this is what I ended up with. A little bit blurry because I think I shot at f5.6. But hey, it was a good start. It was a good start. Now this image, I got a little bit lucky this time. Learning from the previous mistake that I made, what I did for this one was I think I was standing still, shooting at f5.6 at 1/500th of a shutter speed. I waited for her to approach me, the 1.5 meters, and as she was approaching me, I didn't focus too much on acquiring focus because I already preset the focus to 1.5 meters. I was just waiting for her to enter my zone, and what I did was holding the TLR very nice and firm on my chest like this. I shifted my entire body to point it towards her and I kind of was following her as she was moving, and once she hit that 1.5 meters, I pressed the shutter button, and that's what I ended up with. I think this is a great technique, and I think I might practice this a bit more just to perfect it, but it really worked. With this image, I did the exact same thing, but this time I was also moving as they were moving. So I was walking towards them and they were walking to, the right side of me. They were walking to my right side, but on the TLR, they were moving to the left side. You can start to see how confusing this all sounds, but I had the TLR fixed in front of my chest and I was walking towards them like this, looking at them, not down at the TLR. And when I reached 1.5 meters, I think this was shot at f11 or f8 because the sun was a bit brighter in this one. But as I approached them and they approached me, we kind of met at a good distance, and I pressed the shutter button, and this is what I got. I really like the fact that she was holding a ice cream cone like that. It was nice and interesting. Okay, this was another one of the kind of mistakes that I made on the roll, but looking back I felt really bad after taking this photo because I messed up so hard. But now looking at this photo, it's not too bad. If it was shot in color, it would have actually made it a lot better, and I would have actually liked the photo, mainly because there was so much color going on, in the little statue in the background with all the textures and colors, and the guy's Hawaiian t-shirt, which also was quite nice in terms of color. Missing focus wouldn't have been a big deal, but because it's in black and white, I stand to lose a little bit more, but it still is an okay image, mainly because of the fact that there's so much detail going on in terms of different shapes and textures in the frame. So kind of okay, could have been better. This is also one of my favorite shots of this roll. I saw the father and his two kids sitting, on the other side of the tram line, and I liked how the two kids were looking one way and the father was sitting the other way, looking the other direction. Has a nice juxtaposition there. I also like the reflections happening on the glass mirror, in the glass behind them, and how it reflected the building from the other side behind me. I also liked how people were moving across the frame in the direction of the kids, and as I was waiting for the kids to do something interesting, because when I was acquiring focus, the kids were just sitting there looking, but luckily one of the kids started pointing at an object out in the distance, and I managed to snap that just in time. I liked how the arm is nicely contrasted with the darker background, so that you get that nice pop. And yeah, in general, I just really like the composition. Very easy, very clean, very nice to look at. Okay guys, so that completes the overview of all these images. If you like this kind of analysis thing after my street session, definitely let me know in the comments. I'll make sure to do more of that and give you guys a little bit of an insight into how I think and how I shoot. I really enjoy shooting with the TLR. It's one of those experiences that I think all film shooters should experience at some point. It's just the challenge of thinking in reverse and just shooting in another way that makes TLR so enjoyable and so rewarding when the images come out really nice. So every single shot that I've taken with the TLR up till now, I've been generally happy with. Even though they're not the best of images, I think they still work in their own rights. I think when you're shooting 11 or 12 shots at a time, it really makes you slow down and think a lot more critically about every shot that you take. And after every shot, it makes you think critically about how you're going to compose and frame the next shot that you're going to take. And you really learn faster that way. And what I found with this session is I did exactly that. You know, zone focusing, I had to think, how am I supposed to improve on the next time I do zone focusing? Should I look at the subject or should I look down at the frame? Which is the best method I can do it so that I can nail the shot more effectively. And I think that's one of the good things about film, is that because of the limitation of how many shots that you're gonna make, it makes you think harder about every shot that you take, and it makes you grow faster as a photographer. But then it makes you a lot poorer, and the fact that every single shot coming out of this 6x6 is costing me about $4. So it's a trade-off, but I think it's well worth it for the knowledge. Again, my name is Jay, and I'll catch you guys next time.